There you go. I wrote this on a card for y'all because people love when you write things on cards on the internet. I've noticed on videos, it's much more effective than using our words, apparently. So I'm going to do a blend of both. I'm going to use my words. I'm going to use a couple of cards, just a couple. That's one of them right there. So my general theme is Donald Trump isn't racist. And the reason that I'm making this video is because it's making me absolutely sick. Absolutely sick to see everyone on Facebook, social media, people I talk to, pundits on television, primarily the left-wing stations, of course, who have decried Donald Trump as a racist. When Donald Trump started to get popular, the likes of Hillary Clinton and even the people in his own party used the hateful speech and the bigot and the racist and all that to slam him and knock him and get him out of their way so they could carry on with the same old double talk that politicians have been doing for years and years and years. But it didn't work, you know. Now, the problem is that it's become sort of a false narrative. They've kept hammering and hammering and hammering and hammering away at this idea that Donald Trump is a racist to the point where people just believe it. People with a meme education. Now I'm talking to some people, even people who are my friends on Facebook, who I see, who I respect as educated people. But I get so disappointed to see that you can't figure out that if you watch any of his speeches or listen carefully to what the guy says, there's no hint of racism there. There's none. Now, I've seen interviewers go to anti-Trump protests, okay? Dump the Trump, all that kind of thing. And when they go and actually ask the people who are protesting there, like, let's sink our teeth into what is it about Donald Trump that's bothering you? Well, he's racist. Okay, reporter will ask, how is he racist? What did he say that was racist? They don't have an answer. Well, he's against Mexicans. He's not against Mexicans, though. That's the problem. He's said many times he's not against Mexicans. If anything, it sounds like he almost respects Mexicans because they have superior trade deals with the United States, and he wants to end that. Well, he's against Mexicans because he's against illegal immigrants. He's against illegal immigrants? You mean like most of the United States? Ever since I've been a kid, I've heard people in the United States, I'm in Canada by the way, talking on and on and on about the problem of illegal immigrants. Politicians have done double talk and double speak for years and years and years to the point where it's just so much white noise to people. It's like, here's our promise again. We're going to get you jobs. We're going to take care of the illegal immigrants. Everyone's going to have a health. We're going to be fine, blah, blah, blah. They get elected and then nothing changes. All right? So Donald Trump comes out and brings up the same issue, and he says, no, I'm not like politicians. I'm going to put a wall up. To me, when I first heard it, I thought it's insane. You're going to build a wall? Apparently, they feel like they can actually do this. Well, go ahead, build a wall. But how does this make him racist? He only wants to keep illegal immigrants out. Now, this guy is an American, and he lives in a world he understands that is a meme-educated world. That is, you look at Facebook and you see a picture and a couple of lines, and that's your knowledge. People don't look further than that. Or maybe you catch a soundbite on television, what the media presents to you, which usually are taken completely out of context under the most sensational parts of any kind of speech that's given. You can give a 45-minute speech. I actually felt bad for Marco Rubio when I saw that he tried to go in the gutter with Donald Trump. And they asked him, they said, why are you going in the gutter with Donald Trump? He said, because you wouldn't play any sound bites of me when I was talking policy prior to that. So that's a media construct, okay? And now, all of you people who believe that Donald Trump is racist have been completely, 100% brainwashed, all right? There is nothing wrong. There is nothing racist. Here, I'll put another sign up. Not racism to say I want to keep illegal immigrants out of the country. He also went on to say they're bringing drugs, they're raping, all that, all that, all that. He also said some of them are doing that, and not all Mexicans are bad. Most Mexicans are not bad. These are things Donald Trump said. That got left behind in the soundbite and meme world. Nobody wanted to talk about that. That didn't turn people's heads. That didn't get anyone's attention. So they focused on the part where he says, they're all rapists and they're murderers and they're bringing the drugs in and all that. Well, you know what? Some of them are. And that's the people he's concerned with. And the people in the United States, I believe, Arizona, Texas, so on and so forth, New Mexico, are concerned with, is the guys that are doing bad things. Here's the problem with being an illegal immigrant. You're illegal. You've already shown to the world that you're willing to break the law to support your own agenda, whatever that might be. I want to go to the United States. Well, should we go through the legal process? No, fuck that. I can't be bothered. I'm going to sneak in, and I'm going to work under the table, and I'm going to do whatever, because I'm more important than following rules and fitting into the society by following the rules of that society. So you're already illegal. And now you're asking me to trust you? This is the kind of thing that Donald Trump is tapping into. He's not saying that Mexicans are bad or immigrants are bad. He married two, for God's sakes. He supports immigrants. But these stories, do you remember? I remember when I was a kid in kindergarten, one of the things the teacher showed us about how stories get distorted was they sat us all in a big circle. There was like 30 kids. And you were supposed to whisper. I think it might have been something simple like, there's a white bunny rabbit running through the field, and he saw a green fence and jumped over a red car to get to it. All right? Something absurd like that. And then that kid had to whisper it to the kid beside him. And so on to the next kid, to the next kid, to the next kid, and all the way to the point where the story became a black bear. If you ask the last kid, a black bear was fishing on the Fraser River and caught a whale shark. And the story did change that much. It did get butchered and brutalized. And the point was made. It's like, if you don't hear it yourself, if you don't investigate yourself, and you just believe whatever is fed to you, you're going to be somebody who's full of misinformation. That's what's happening with Donald Trump right now. Donald Trump has never said he's against Mexicans. He has never said it. Never. Never said it. He's against illegal immigrants. Now, we talk about the Muslim issue as well. When he said, and I watched his speech. I don't know if anybody else watched the speech sometimes when I talk to folks. The way that they've wound up interpreting what they've been told he said. Okay? It was, he wanted to put a halt to Muslims coming into the United States until the leaders could figure out what the hell is going on. He didn't say anything about putting them in internment camps. He didn't say anything about deporting all the Muslims that were in the United States. Said nothing about that. Said he likes Muslims. Said he does business with Muslims. But none of that stuff made the sound bites. Okay? Not racism. Now, you want to know what racism is? Racism is when black people aren't allowed to ride at the front of the bus, like used to be the case in the United States back in the day. Racism. Black people aren't allowed to use the bathroom that the white people use. Racism. All right? Rosa Parks did her big thing where she said, I'm riding on the front of the bus. That was that. And things started to change. Martin Luther King, so on and so forth. People started to understand, you know what? It's absurd to be racist. It's absurd to look at somebody's skin color and say, you can't go in the same space as I can because of your skin color. And look at how far we've come. It's 2016 now. Now, the term racism is used as a tactic for politicians to get elected, and y'all are buying into it, okay? You people that think that Donald Trump is racist are buying into the bullshit they're feeding you, and you need to wake up a little bit. If you don't like Donald Trump because he offends you, I get it. He is offensive. He told Carly Fiorina she looked like a horse face or whatever he said. I didn't like that. I like Carly Fiorina. She's a quick wit. She's sharp. I was hoping she'd actually be vice president to run with Donald Trump, but he screwed that up, okay? But he's an offensive guy when he says things like that. He's tapping into the reality TV world that the United States has become, and Canada. Let's face it, Canada's the same way. We had our Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, was drummed out of office because they were able to declare him a misogynist and a racist because he didn't want people wearing the niqab in Canada. Now forget that, just as a little aside to the racism thing I'm talking here, forget the fact that the niqab largely represents a part of the Muslim world who give no rights whatsoever to women. Very little. They can't vote. In some countries, Yemen is one of them, you can't leave the house without a man saying it's okay or going with you. All right? And I could go on and on. It's absolutely absurd. But instead, people with a meme education just heard, what? Stephen Harper said that women aren't allowed to wear the niqab? Well, he's a misogynist and a racist. Boom! Gotcha! Done. Stephen Harper didn't know how to respond, and he got voted out, and we have a complete idiot running Canada right now in Justin Trudeau. Donald Trump, so far, has been able to withstand the attacks of being racist, although I see he's starting to drop in the polls, and that's why I'm doing this video, because I see so many people on Facebook that just, it's become the accepted narrative that the guy's a racist. And it's like, no, you're not a racist for being prudent enough and thoughtful enough to say, let's pump the brakes on bringing Muslims into our country when we can't be 100% sure which ones are radical and which ones have come sent as operatives by ISIS. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, but they declared war on Western civilization and have acted upon that. It's only prudent to at least ask the question, is there another solution? Can we come up with a free zone in that the UN operates in their country where they're safe? We protect them, a safe zone. These questions can be asked. There's nothing racist about asking the questions. And that's all Donald Trump has done. So, I'm going to drink a beer and hope for God's sakes some of you wake up. We can't be so dainty and faint-hearted as to not allow ourselves to at least question what's going on around us. And you got to stop declaring everybody that disagrees with you as a racist. It's just not true. Here's a racist. You read that? Freeze the frame if you didn't have time to read it. Okay? Here's another one. It's not even a word, for God's sakes. You just take phobia and you put Islam in front of it and it's a new word? What is that, like the sandwich artist down at Subway Sub? There. We'll just plunk artist behind the guy that's making a sandwich and suddenly that's much more important. It's ridiculous. We used to make up words when I was in art college. You were a genius if you made up a word. God, that was a slam dunk. You'd have a fantastic critique if you were a guy that made up a word and stood there and sounded like you knew what you were talking about. It's not a word. All right? Stop with the racist stuff. Wake up, you idiots. And this message is directed in particular at people who I see on my Facebook, who are friends who I've grown up respecting. And I see that you've been brainwashed into hearing whatever the media has told you. And Hillary Clinton, what, 20 times a day? She says that Donald Trump is a racist and hateful. I guess if you just keep hammering away at that, that again becomes the new narrative. It's sickening, all right? Thanks.